This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. In a move that surprised absolutely no one, EV startup Fisker filed for bankruptcy yesterday. It simply ran out of cash. Founder Henrik Fisker warned months ago that the company did not have enough money to get through the year, and it only delivered about half of the 10,000 Ocean SUVs that it built last year. The model was also plagued with hardware and software issues, and the company was plagued with poor bookkeeping and lax financial controls. Stellantis isn't wasting any time getting Chinese EVs into its lineup. Its partner Leapmotor recently kicked off production of its T03 model at a Stellantis plant in Poland, and now a second model is on the way. Codenamed the A12, it's a compact SUV that will have both a BEV and EREV powertrain. It will reportedly come equipped with Lidar and advanced intelligent driving technology. But even with that high-end tech, the price is expected to be around only $14,000. It's expected to go into production next year. Have you ordered your new Tesla Roadster yet? If so, you're probably going to have to wait longer for it than you expected. Though the concept officially debuted in 2017 and a production version has been promised for years, it's still years away. In February, Elon Musk said production would start this year and deliveries would start next year. But Auto Forecast Solutions says the Roadster will not start production at Fremont until January of 2027. And we think Auto Forecast has a better track record at predicting these things than Elon does. It costs $50,000 to reserve a Roadster, so that's a lot of money to plunk down and let sit there for the next 2.5 years. But Elon is not the only one who's off on his timeline. A couple of years ago, GM CEO Mary Barra said production of the Cruise Origin robotaxi would start in 2023. Then things went awry at Cruise, and production was pushed back to this year. But it looks like that's not going to happen either. Auto Forecast Solutions says the Origin will not start production at GM's Factory Zero plant in Detroit until June of 2027. GM is already making test mules, but full production looks like it's still 3 years away. Auto Forecast also says that production of the Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra electric pickups will not move over to the Orion plant in Michigan until January of 2027. Those trucks are currently being made at GM's Factory Zero in Michigan, and maybe that's why these trucks are moving to Orion, because the Cruise Origin is moving into Factory Zero. But the Orion plant was making the Chevy Bolt EV, but it was moved out to make room for the electric pickups. So, if Auto Forecast has got this right, that plant will have been sitting idle for 3 years, since GM pushed back its EV plans because there's not enough market demand to justify it.
Michigan is leading the charge in mobility and innovation, and I can't think of a better state to be in.
Dacia, which is Renault's affordable brand, does pretty well selling its smaller B-segment vehicles. But it first floated the idea of moving up to the C-segment in 2021 with the Bigster concept. Well, it's finally getting around to that. Next year it will come out with the production version of the Bigster that will then be followed by 2 more C-segment vehicles. And Dacia really expects those new models to increase its sales and profits by 2030. It's forecasting to sell about 1 million units by the end of the decade, which is a pretty big jump from last year's total of just under 660,000 vehicles. Dacia thinks that jump will double its revenue from 2022 to 2030 and boost its operating margin to an impressive 15% by the end of the decade as well. The company clearly thinks it's going to capitalize on all this talk of consumers wanting more affordable cars, and we'll get to watch and see if it's right. Porsche is doing something we haven't heard of anyone else doing. It's creating a digital twin of its high-voltage battery to learn how EV batteries will perform over the long term. A digital twin is a virtual representation of a product that allows engineers to test and design it virtually before it's used in the real world. Porsche began working on the digital twin last year and says it's developed prototypes of the electrochemical and thermal models of the battery. It says its long-term goal is to not only create a battery digital twin, but also a digital representation of individual vehicle batteries. Porsche says this could allow it to run simulations in the cloud and provide customers with details on how to extend the life of the battery without impacting the vehicle's performance. A few years ago, Magna developed a vehicle interior with reconfigurable seating. The seats can swivel to point any direction, they move on tracks to provide different seating arrangements, or they can be stacked up at one end of the vehicle to make room for cargo space. The different arrangements can even be controlled with a smartphone and app. One idea was to use the vehicle for ride-hailing services during the day and for moving packages at night. And while Magna just got an order from a Chinese automaker that will use part of the system. It will have swivel front seats that can turn around to face rearwards. The front and rear row slide on 2 meters or about 6.5 feet of powered rails to provide plenty of legroom. No word yet on which automaker is using it, but it goes into mass production in the fourth quarter of this year. If you haven't heard of China's rankings for charging rates, you're probably going to start hearing a lot more about them as battery makers are really ramping up their fast charging capabilities. China uses a number and the letter C to refer to how fast the battery can be charged relative to its capacity. For example, 3C and 4C charging rates are pretty common, which means a battery could be charged at 3 and 4 times its capacity. Or in other words, a 1 kilowatt hour battery could be charged at 3 and 4 kilowatts. Or to simplify it even more, you could say a 3C battery can charge 3 times in 1 hour. But now battery makers are hitting 5C charging rates, and Car News China reports even BYD and CATL will have 6C rates before the end of the year. That means a battery could fully charge 6 times in an hour or once in just 10 minutes. But good luck finding a charger capable of pumping out that much current. 5C capable chargers are rare, and most are made and installed by the battery and car makers themselves. Automated guided vehicles, or AGVs, are nothing new. They've been around for decades, just like these orange units that are following the path of green tape on the floor at Honda's plant in Marysville, Ohio. But now meet what I would call these robots' big brother. BMW is implementing what it calls a one-of-a-kind autonomous transport vehicle at one of its plants in Germany. But this one doesn't need any green tape or wires in the floor. Instead, it uses Lidar cameras and sensors like an autonomous car to allow it to move anywhere in a plant. And this thing is not moving small objects. Here we see it moving the 2 sides of a die for a giant stamping press, and it's capable of moving up to 55 metric tons. Sony is ramping up the marketing of its project with Honda called Afeela. It's all about turbocharging the digital experience both inside and outside the car. The grille features a media bar to display customizable greetings, messages, and even videos. Inside, pillar-to-pillar screens dominate the dashboard. A yoke steering wheel is used to provide better visibility of the screens, which can run an impressive amount of multimedia content, even content that you create yourself. Augmented reality will enhance the navigation. The car can connect to your PlayStation 4 or 5 at home so you can game on the road. You just need to bring your own controller. There's an onboard karaoke, and the car will be soundproof so that no matter how loud it gets inside, no one will hear it outside. The car will also have Lidar for level 3 autonomy. No word yet on whether that includes eyes-off driving, but if it does, then even the driver will be able to watch everything that's going on. And that brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for making Autoline a part of your day.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering boost your game. MEDC, where Michigan businesses are powering the future of mobility. Tejan Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility. And by ZF.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Tejan Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.
Intrepid's NeoVi Pi, allowing automotive engineers to interface, capture, and monitor vehicle data using Raspberry Pi. As a matter of fact, it's the automotive industry's first robust platform for Raspberry Pi, featuring Intrepid CAN-FD technology and Raspberry Pi compute module. The NeoVi Pi is designed for automotive environments, allowing use with relative power ranges and applications. In addition, the NeoVi Pi enables you to use the Raspberry Pi for compute while avoiding additional development to adapt to network environments. That makes the NeoVi Pi powerful enough to solve your vehicle network problems, yet small enough to fit in your backpack. One of many Intrepid tools used for developing zonal architecture and software-defined vehicles.
Keeping your heart racing in and out of the gym. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Potenza Sport AS tires with a 50,000-mile limited warranty.